So here's what I want you to do. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to invite you to take an image card that answers the question, when thinking about our community 10 years in the future, what does this town look like? I want you to continue the conversation. What does our community look like 10 years in the future as it relates to this trend? On the sticky notes, however, for my order people in the room, I want you to start writing down what might the Center Foundation look like in the future, as considering the trends and the conversations that you're having, right?
We talked about, we all feel that there's going to be growth within Center County, whether that might be positive growth or challenging growth. So we talked a little bit about how we think that our student population is changing, has become wealthier and wealthier, and the impacts of that on our community. I forget what year this was. It's older. It's the older population. The retiree segment. Again, that's a different population with different needs. We talked about those that are wanting to come here because of the lifestyle that you can have within Central Pennsylvania, the Four Seasons, things of that sort. And I actually just chose Fish because I felt like there was a million people coming here. But we talked about how that is impacting the greater community in so many different ways and all the aspects of our community. You have a lot more notes than I do. My specific note was, where the growth happens across our community is going to impact the areas of support needed by the Center Foundation. So maybe it's food security, and maybe it ebbs and flows, and maybe in my world is housing, so maybe that ebbs and flows. But as we see this growth, we're going to see, we talked about how do we attract all audiences to our community versus just those wealthy students or just those retirees. What about those folks in the middle? Do we have the industry here to support that? So ours was just more about the growth and changes within our community that are going to happen.
But the people want to come here for lots of different reasons, and one of the reasons probably has something to do with the climate here. So I don't know if you guys got into that, but since we do have some climate resiliency, we talked about the attractiveness of that. But in terms of how the Center Foundation could help with our economic trends and our growth in tourism, some of the things that we touched on were ways to adjust to the economic trends in the sense of job creation and just investing in our workforce and the types of skills that we think that young people will need in the future, ways to have young people want to stay here in the Center region so that they're not leaving and then finally coming back when they're older. And we thought that the Center Foundation could be a really good connector with government agencies that were working on exactly these types of issues.
We want to somehow see kids get involved in grant making, aside from the PACT grants, which are great, but maybe like a kids giving circle where kids actually come together and decide on grants that are available and they want to kind of give some money to. The other thing is a kids grant, kind of like, how every year in the schools at a certain grade, kids submit artwork that usually ends up on the Catabus, something like that. But where kids in that grade are answering the question, what would make Center County a better place for kids? And then those answers are kind of reviewed, and then maybe 5 or 10 selected from that. And then we go back to those kids and say, tell me more about your idea. How can we make this happen? Maybe connect them with a local nonprofit that could help get their idea into fruition, and then actually submitting a proposal to get that funded. Just some way to get kids involved in all this early.